pop music became the place where I learnt about love. And the people who taught me about love were people like Lionel Richie, Motown, Foreigner. And all these people were saying that love was amazing. They were saying, you should really go for it. And it was weird because my parents were saying the exact opposite. Now, the most important song during my teenage years was by the Pet Shop Boys. And it was a song called Love Comes Quickly. Oh. And the chorus was, love comes quickly, no matter what you do, you can't stop falling. I don't know about you, but that sounds absolutely terrifying. Because what that suggests is that love's like an infection. It's like some kind of disease, and it doesn't matter what you do, you're not going to be able to stop falling or catching it. Now, my family, I had an older brother and an older sister and a younger sister, and they were a little bit more traditional than me, but I was always a bit of an outsider. I was a bit of a dreamer. I guess I had three dreams, really. I wanted to get out of Luton, I wanted to do an interesting job, and I wanted to marry somebody who wasn't already a relative. And none of those things seemed entirely possible. But as I got into my 20s and 30s, I managed to get out of Luton. I did do an interesting job, but the wedding and the love and the marriage thing, that still seemed completely elusive. But by now, I had moved on. I'd evolved from Lionel Richie to Bruce Springsteen. And Bruce Springsteen became the person who I went to for all my wisdom. Now, there's a song you'll know, Born to Run. And in Born to Run, he says this line where he says, I want to know if love is wild. I want to know if love is real. And that was a really important question to me. Is love real for somebody like me? There was also another song, there was another line in that song, which was, he says to Wendy, we'll live with the sadness and I'll love you with all the madness in my soul. I'll love you with all the madness in my soul. I was like, I want to meet someone that I could feel this way about, who I could say this about. And something made me think that this was not something that I was going to get from an arranged marriage. Now, my mum had started to gently hint that it was time for me to have an arranged marriage. When I say gently hint, she went on a hunger strike, and so it got to 2008, and I'm just about almost turning 37, and I'm at the Hay Book Festival, which is this big book festival on the border of England and Wales, and I'm there for a week doing some work, and then it gets to the last day of the festival. It's a Sunday. It's the first Sunday of June, and I'm in a taxi on my way to the train station, and it's a really hot day, and I'm going to miss the train, so I'm getting out of the train, I'm getting out the taxi, I'm running with a suitcase, I run along the platform, the doors are about to close, and I get in. I plonk myself down, I look up, and sitting opposite me is the most beautiful girl I have ever seen. She's got blonde hair, she's got wild green eyes, she's reading a copy of Mary Barton by Elizabeth Gaitskell. And I'm looking at her and I'm thinking, who gets to be your friend? Who gets to know you? Because this is not usual luck for me. So I'm not the sort of person that talks to strangers, so I didn't do anything. I just let the train carry on. But then something inside me just kept saying, if you don't start a conversation, you're going to regret this. So I was like, what do I do? And then I noticed that she had a cloth bag which said Hay Festival. That was my opening. I said, have you been to Hay? And she said, yes. So then we started talking, and she told me her name was Bridget. She's a speech and language therapist. She works with kids with autism. And as the train rolled on, we talked about life and holidays and family and what was missing from our lives. I was really enjoying the conversation, but I was also getting really, really stressed because this train was rumbling on its way to London, and then it was going to end. And I was like, I don't want this to be an anecdote. I don't want it to be just this story that I tell people afterwards. So what do I do? So I thought, well, I don't want to be one of these people that imposes on somebody else. So as the train went towards the end, I said, look, I'd really like to see you again, But I totally understand if you don't want to feel that way about me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you my phone number, but I'm not going to take yours. And I don't even know your second name, so there's no way we're ever going to hear from each other again unless you contact me. So then I went home and stared at my phone. And then the next day I stared at my phone. And the next day I stared at my phone, and she sent me a text saying she'd had a really nice time. She'd like to meet up again. So on the Saturday we went for a date at Tate Modern, and that led to a couple more dates. That led to more dates. We ended up in a relationship, and I was like, this is amazing. This is what Lionel Richie was singing about. Finally, I had the answer to Foreigner's question from their 1986 hit, I Want to Know What Love Is. So I go back home to my mum, and she is not in a good way. She's getting more and more worried about the fact that I'm still not with anyone. And she's like, it's my duty to see you married. There's nobody's going to take care of you. What are you doing? And I'm like, I know something you don't. So I thought, sod it, I'm going to tell her. I just said, look, I have actually met someone. And like, when you say that, you can't just leave it like that. So I had to give her some more information. I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? Okay, so she works with children. She's really good with her parents. She knows some Muslims. And then I sort of threw in that she was blonde and Christian, but I hope she didn't notice that. So that evening I ring home just to see how it all gone. And it turns out it'd gone really badly. Because my mum is not answering the phone. And she's like, you have absolutely, totally betrayed everything that I believed about you. And if you're gonna have this relationship with this girl, you're not gonna have a relationship with us. You've got to choose. And this is difficult. I'm meeting somebody who I absolutely love, who makes me happier than I've ever been. But my family are saying, you've got to choose. So what do? So I do what I always do in situations like this. I turn to Bruce Springsteen. And in Prove It All Night, from the album Darkness on the Edge of Town, he has a line where he says, if dreams came true, well, wouldn't that be nice? But this ain't no dream we're living through tonight. If you want it, you take it and you pay the price. It's profound, isn't he? If you want it, you take it, you pay the price. And I thought maybe that's what life's about. Maybe in the end, you take the things you want and you pay the price. And maybe that's what maturity is. So we went on holiday to Rome. And that's not me and my mum, it's me and Bridget. And we have dinner, and then it's a really full moon, and the stars are shining, and it's Rome. And I just, out of nowhere, say to Bridget, do you think we should get married? She said, let's do it. So we return to Britain engaged, and I ring my family, and I tell them the good news. And they say, well, that's great, but don't expect us at the wedding. We're not going to come. If you're going to choose her, go it alone. So we set the wedding date for the 21st of August. And it's a weird thing because we're trying to do the seating plan, and all of Bridget's family are on the top table, but there's nobody from my side. But you make your choices. So we're setting it all up, and I'm sort of steeling myself for the happy day. And on the 20th of August, the day before I'm supposed to get married, I get a phone call. And it's my younger sister. I haven't spoken to my younger sister since all this argument stuff had been happening. So I was a bit surprised to hear from her. And she said, how are you doing? I said, I'm not great, how are you? And she said, I'm actually not that great either. I said, what's been happening? And she said, well, I go to work from Luton to London every morning. And by the time I get to the work, I've got tears streaking down my face. And my boss is wondering why I've got mascara running and whether I'm on the tip of having an emotional breakdown. And I said, what's going on? And she said, well, I've been listening to Bruce Springsteen. Because it's one of the things I did well by having a younger sister. I got her into Springsteen. And so she'd been listening to the album Tunnel of Love. And there's a song on Tunnel of Love called Walk Like a Man, which is about getting married. And there's a line in it where he says, will they ever look so happy again, the handsome groom and his bride, as they step into that long black limousine for their mystery ride? It's about somebody getting married. And she said, the reason I'm crying is that every morning I listen to that song and I think, I want to see my brother as that handsome groom.